One of the things that I love about being a filmmaker is that because I have cameras typically on me at any given time, and whenever I travel internationally, I'll have my drone with me because you never know what you're going to capture. For me, it's all about showing up and being ready for something that may happen. You have no idea in documentary filmmaking what's going to happen. I like doing things unscripted. And that allows me to kind of enjoy life in a new way, in a new perspective. So I was in the Philippines a while ago, little city called Tacloban City, and I was out flying my drone over this bay, and I saw this beautiful little shot. So here's this man and a woman, probably husband and wife, putting bait on little strings of fishing line hooked to styrofoam and placing them out in the water. When a fish would come and take one of the hooks, they would then just chase it down in their boat and pull it in and keep the fish. This was their way to sustain themselves. This was their livelihood. I'm sure they didn't get up every morning and go, "Oh, wow, let's go out on the boat today and let's enjoy a nice margarita, or let's do a barbecue on the back of the boat." No, this was a boat that sustained their life. So the reason why I like flying drone is because it gives you a whole new perspective on things. Most of the time we're locked into the way we see things from our perspective on land. But what I love about a drone is it puts you above it. It puts you seeing down. It gives you a new visual to kind of reference maybe things that you're facing that day, challenges that you have. Today's challenge is that I'm going to be going through and showing you the entire survey. But first I'm going to show you what the listing looked like on YachtWorld so that you have a perspective of what it looked like originally, why I was so excited. Then we'll look at the actual survey results, and you'll see that they definitely don't match what was in the original listing to a great extent. And then we'll also look at the oil sample analysis that we got back. And then I'll break down a few of the numbers and kind of give you some estimates of what it would cost to fix the things that were in the survey. And then I've got to make a decision at that point. So let's take a look at the listing first. So if you look at this Ericson on YachtWorld, these are the things that the seller and broker listed as features on the boat. It describes it as a beautifully maintained 1986 Ericson 381. Has a Flying Dutchman system, a full Dodger, and a new Bimini in 2022. A folding swim ladder. The deck is in fair to good condition with all the fittings and hardware fully functional. Cabinetry and woodwork, overall good condition. Some minor floorboard degradation near the head. 120 volt microwave. LPG system, tank lines and fittings. A manual head, a pressurized water system and foot pumps, a hot water heater, runs on shore power or engine heat exchanger, a Perkins 4011, an alternator built in 2025, starter motor replaced, 3 12-volt batteries new, updated wiring throughout, a new AC/DC instrument panel. It has a CPT autopilot, Signet Marine Instruments, a wind point speed, a knot log, a depth sounder, a Seawolf 520 windlass, a Raytheon radar, new running anchor, and deck lights. Bottom paint was repainted in 2022. So the to-do list is install a new depth sounder sensor, check the knot log sensor, repair minor leak in engine coolant line to water heater, replace the head door handle, inspect and repair cabin head zippers, electronics, depth sounder, the autopilot CPT, yes, microwave, yes. That's the 1986 Ericson. All right, so let's take a look at the survey. So I was a little bit underwhelmed with the report because it was so kind of generic. You know, being out on the boat and seeing everything kind of uncovered as it did. And as we did the sea trial and the engine overheating light and alarm came on, there were a lot of kind of dramatic things. But when I saw the survey report, it was kind of boring. I mean, it's important. All right, so let's take a look at the survey. It's for the 86 Ericson 381, name of the vessel, who the buyer is. It also gives the scope of the survey, any citations, basically disclaimers, talks about the vessel, where it was made, the dimensions, the construction, pretty generic stuff for the first 3 or 4 pages. It's very text heavy. For example, the vinyl headliner on the ceiling had the zippers aren't working and there was water intrusion all throughout the headliners. But it says, see the notes. Certain things that we knew had issues. The autopilot compass says that the engine hour meters only shows 0.6. The bilge had oil. GFCI house batteries, not there. The tanks, the head, the water tanks, ground tackle. Talks about the depth sounder, the autopilot not working, nav lights. He then gives a list of boats that have sold in the last 2 or so years. And it looks like they're starting at $50,000 for an 85. The last one was sold for 32. And he gives a market value of between 40 and 45. This is, of course, for insurance purposes only, not an estimate of the value. But you can see it's declining. Then it gets into notes and deficient. Talks about the anchor winch is inoperative. The headliner is loose. Water intrusion. The autopilot's inop. Depth meter inop. Water tank beneath the starboard salon leaks. Shower sump pump removed, fire extinguishers. There's oil in the salon bilge. The engine temperature alarm sounded during sea trial. The engine should be surveyed by a qualified marine engine technician. Potable water is inop. Rigging needs to be looked at. Loose wiring, nuts. The stop switch on the engine panel must be labeled. Engine breather needs to be connected. All receptacles need to be GFCI. The CNG tank, not the LPG tank, must be inspected or removed from the vessel. The switch in the head cabinet is corroded. A handle must be provided for the bilge pump. Magnetic compass not working. Flares are expired. The stern light's in up. The bow light. The EPIRB must be registered. Carbon monoxide detectors are required. There's no state registration. And then actually there's a lot of images that just didn't make it into the report. From page 11 to 24, there's basically 2 images per page. So there's less than 25 images, and I know there was over 100 taken, but I did contact the surveyor, and he sent me all 110 images. So I have access to all of those, which again, I'm surprised they weren't in the report, but some of the images were pretty damaging. Some of them were pretty insightful. I don't know why they were left out, but I'm not going to judge that because I was able to get them. So here we go. That's what the report looks like. So the oil analysis came back and everything was pretty normal. I was actually pretty shocked at the oil sample that came back. I was expecting engine coolant and other things to be in the oil, but according to the report, according to the analysis, it was normal. So for all the drama that had, who knows? That doesn't mean the engine doesn't have all kinds of issues and problems with the other things that we found out, but the oil analysis came back okay. And I got a lot of feedback from a lot of good people on the Ericson forum. And one of them basically said, dude, this is a gift boat. This is not a boat that you want to commit to being out hundreds of miles and thousands of miles away from home port. It's a gift boat. It's DIY hell. There's no way you want to take this boat on. You know, a lot of people weighed in. There definitely were people who said you definitely need bottom paint. You have to get this done, that done. But again, I took in all kinds of advice from a lot of people. And then I ran numbers. I looked at what an engine would cost to completely replace or to just rebuild. I looked at the windlass. I looked at the autopilot. I looked at all kinds of things, and it became overwhelming. And this is the total number that it came back with. It would have been between $45,000 and $65,000 just to fix the things that were part of the survey. So, perspective, right? I don't know the answer right now. I'm going to have to take a couple of days to think about this. This is Dana Point. The first time I came here, I brought my 30-foot Laguna up from Oceanside. Came here, picked up some passengers, my family members, and then we sailed out to Catalina to Two Harbors. So this is a fond memory place for me. Just basically pull up right here where that dinghy is, and you can load and unload. There's a nice little, probably 42 heading out. Double Genoa. 2 roller furlings. Well, that's a badass boat. Dang. Oh, I thought I would come here because today's an emotional day for me. I have to make a pretty serious decision at this point, and I've already made it, but I came here to kind of settle in with my decision. I made the offer on the Ericson 381 with all kinds of hopes and dreams and wishes, eyes wide open. I made the offer. I got the surveyor to come out. We did the survey, did the sea trial. Then I did the oil analysis. I heard lots of stories, a lot of things that were claimed to be about the boat, but I'm not going to judge the stories that I heard. I'm just at a point now where I have to make a decision. So I'm not young anymore. I don't have time to make big mistakes and to suffer because of it. I need to be planning for being out there hundreds and hundreds of miles offshore on my way to foreign lands or to Hawaii or wherever it's going to be. And I have to know that the boat that I am going to be with is going to be something that I can trust. But I know its idiosyncrasies. I know its shortcomings. I know the positive things. And I'm afraid that the Ericson 381, at least that one, is just not the one that I want to put my trust and faith in traveling across oceans. It was DIY hell. Every time we turned around, there was something that was just fixed, mediocre. Wasn't done that well. Just kind of pieced together, and just the elements just added up. It was like a jigsaw puzzle that the pieces just didn't naturally fit. Things were being forced into themselves. It just wasn't the right puzzle for me. So sadly, I've got to say goodbye to momentum. I'm not gonna buy the boat. It's not the right one for me. And that makes me kind of sad. I loved so many things about that boat. I loved pulling it out of the water and seeing her for the first time all hoisted up. I loved putting her under power and seeing it cruise at 8.5 knots. It was moving right along, but then, the sails, they didn't hoist very well. The engine overheated, the beeping came on, all kinds of stuff. She's a gift boat at this point. The value of boats out there, especially the older Ericsons, are just plummeting, and I just can't imagine putting all of my money knowing that I would have to invest a lot of money to tear out a bunch of things and fix just the things that were in the survey. So I have to walk away. Which means me sailing out there is going to be a little bit while longer, and I'm not going to be able to be out there sailing and preparing like I wanted to be. But that's life, I guess. I'm not going to make a bad choice at this point. I'm going to put my emotions aside and say goodbye to momentum. But I still have hope. There's still a boat out there that's right for me, and maybe there's not the ultimate boat for me right now. Maybe I need to find an in-between boat and cut my teeth on just more sailing. One thing that I learned in doing that sea trial is that in the previous boat that I had, I never reefed the sails. Things are never that bad in San Diego to where you have to reef, and so I learned a lot just by trying to hoist the sails. And me not even knowing how to properly reef something makes me think there's a lot of things I still need to learn. So maybe I look for an in-between boat, maybe a 20-footer, maybe a 27-footer, maybe a 30-footer that I can afford, that I can cut my teeth on, that I can experience, that I can go out and sail, if not every day, at least several times a week, where I'm out there actually doing it and getting the experience. Stop trying to find the ultimate boat that you want, and find the right boat for the right time, which is right now. I think that's an Islander or an Ericson out there. That's probably a 29 or 30. It almost looks like another one over there.